Take 3. We're in OBS now, so the other 2 takes, don't use them. That's for editing. Okay, take 3. Since the dawn of humanity, cryptids and other mythical creatures have captured imaginations across the world.
Oh, would you like some of this on your that?
Some creatures once considered cryptids, such as my favorite animal, the okapi, have since been discovered. Other iconic cryptids, like Bigfoot, still elude scientific confirmation of its existence. In this video, we will be ranking several of the most fearsome, freaky, and downright wondrous cryptids around the world.
All right, so we're going to be ranking the cryptids on 3 criteria. How much we believe in them, how cool it is, whether or not we could take it in a fight.
Then, we will venture into the wilderness and attempt to locate North America's most elusive cryptid. Let's jump into the ranking.
All right, let's go ahead and start with the most iconic. Everybody knows who this is. All right, so I'm just going to start with the cool factor. Definitely, there are so many different variations from all over the world that I think, without a doubt, it is one of the cooler cryptids. You've got the Yeti, Florida skunk ape, you've got continental Bigfoot. All over Asia, they have one called the Yeren, which is basically like, it looks more like an orangutan, but it's still a Sasquatch equivalent. And I'm sure there's others. I think it's got the cool factor.
High cool factor.
You can make it really like intimidating, or it can look really stupid. Like, you know, we got Bigfoot Goes to Hell or whatever that that movie I was telling you about, and then Harry and the Hendersons. Like, it could go different ways. So definite cool factor.
He can do it all. As far as believability goes, I believe that Bigfoot sightings are something, but I don't believe it's a Bigfoot. It's far more likely that in years past, like some sort of trapper or animal smuggler illegally transported gorillas to different parts of the world, and then once they get too big, they just kind of release them in the wild, and suddenly you have
toilet alligators.
Yeah, exactly. It's likely that there are gorillas in places of the world where there shouldn't be, but it's unlikely that there is some sort of other great ape that we haven't yet discovered. So
we had this conversation off mic, but what I had said is, I think the most plausible explanation, at least in America, because for the Yeren, I think that may have been an orangutan, but I think in America, there's a strong argument for bears with mange that would stand up to scratch their backs on trees and, you know, try to relieve the intense hair loss and discomfort they're going through. They can make some pretty crazy noises, especially when they're sick or injured. And then mountain lions, they can sound like just women, like in complete like panic, just screaming at the top of their lungs. They are horrifying. Lewis and Clark venturing through America, they hear some crazy. They're like, you know, that's got to be some sort of beast of another world and not just, oh, that's probably something. You know what I mean? Something taken out of context, or people who are trying to be like, you'll never believe what I saw.
Low believability. Nope. For sure.
So, last one. Could we beat it in a fight? I'm just going to go ahead and say no.
Absolutely folded. No. I couldn't beat a capuchin in a fight. Probably I couldn't beat a chimpanzee in a fight.
You couldn't beat a capuchin monkey?
No, dude.
They're this big.
No, they're goated.
Listen, I'm not saying I want to kill some sort of animal, but I feel like if a capuchin monkey was attacking me, I feel like, yes, it would hurt, but I feel like
you could hold that sucker down and break his arm or something.
Bro has not seen Night at the Museum.
I have. That's what I'm saying. Anyway.
He's such a rascal.
Yeah, that clip of Joe Rogan talking about hairless chimps and just how strong they are, like,
they got this video footage of them hunting these monkeys and the way they would corral them to then catch them. And he's like basically ripping his legs and his end off and just eating it alive. It's a mean animal. I'm gonna pull your dick off. I'm gonna bite your nose off. But when it comes to divorce, like that's that same thing.
As much as I hate Joe Rogan, I feel like that's a compelling argument against something 3 times its size.
Any ape
they're just muscle.
Bigger than half my size is killing me.
It's all
An
muscle.
ape bigger than me is definitely killing me.
I'm gonna go ahead and say S. This has to be S, just for how iconic it is. Your grandma knows who Bigfoot is. Like,
moving on, possibly one of my favorites. Now, the Loch Ness Monster is another one that's very iconic, but also has different iterations, even if I can't think of any.
At least in the United States, every other state has a Loch Ness equivalent.
Has a lake monster.
For some sort of big water creature, but Nessie's the most iconic.
The cool factor on this for me is awesome because sea monsters, even though they frighten me more than other monsters, they also awe me more than other monsters.
Oh, 100%.
They astonish me more. High cool factor. as far as believability, incredibly low. Loch Ness Monster has been scrutinized maybe more than any other cryptid. Our best ecological brains have concluded that Loch Ness Monster does not have enough food to sustain an apex predator of that size.
In a lake like that, it's completely implausible, but I feel like we know so little about the deep sea. There are creatures that have been theorized to exist, and we have seen evidence for something adjacent to that, but there's definitely not that specific creature. There's a possibility that there's something between like a whale and some sort of sea lizard thing that just is too deep, or maybe it died out a long time ago. Or I was trying to think of what that dinosaur is in Jurassic World that eats that lady, like jumps out.
The mosasaur.
Yeah. There's at least a historical context for something like that, but as of right now, preposterous for it to exist in that small of an environment. It's either deep sea or it doesn't exist.
And it's interesting you bring up a dinosaur because I've heard it postulated, all right, a lot of times
that
the Loch Ness
It's a made-up word used to trick students.
monster could be like a plesiosaur. Like that's basically what it
that's
looks
what I was
like.
thinking of.
And there are some creatures on Earth that are like evolutionary holdouts from prehistoric times, like have evolved very little or not at all. Like
crocodiles and alligators are straight up dinosaurs. Like they're just living. What did you just say?
Alligators, bro. I think it's unlikely that one that big to kind of survive the big mass extinction from prehistoric times. You had to kind of be small and scrappy. Is the general trend we've noticed. So I think the thought of a plesiosaur surviving is definitely unlikely. I also don't think it helps believability that the most iconic picture of Nessie has been proven to be
without
fake.
a doubt.
Now, take it in a fight. How can you fight such a force of nature? Can you fight a blue whale?
No, absolutely not. Regardless of the water, it's just the size. If there was like some sort of air, breathe air. Holy Jesus. If there's some sort of breathe air creature, if there's a land-dwelling creature that's the size of a big sea beast, you're still not taking it down. Absolutely no chance you're taking that in a fight unless you're Jason Statham. Like,
so true.
You got to be on the jet ski with the spear. There's no way you're taking that out. I think this also has to be an S. I don't know how you feel. It's just too iconic. But actually, you know what? Now that I think about it, I think Bigfoot is a bit more iconic and a bit cooler because Loch Ness is so ambiguous. It could be anything. It's just a water creature. But I feel like Bigfoot has an iconic look.
Yeah, I think
Nessie's more of like the silhouette of the driftwood.
Loch Ness is maybe A because Bigfoot, since it's so global and it's on land, it's like you could run into one anywhere. But Loch Ness Monster specifically, if you're not in Scotland, it's out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah.
I remember if I was a kid and I was in the woods and I couldn't see a house, I was like, Bigfoot could jump me.
Yeah.
Obviously, now as a young adult, I don't believe in such silly things. But let's do Nessie A. Bang.
Perfect.
All right, up next.
I came to chew bubble gum and suck on goats, and I'm all out of gum. That's my favorite quote.
Mexican creature that is known as that sounded racist.
They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats. They're eating
American Southwest into Mexico.
Yeah.
Like in the most extreme, it could be portrayed as like a lizard-ish alien, but it's most likely some sort of like coyote, something like that.
And if you're Scooby-Doo, it could be another Bigfoot. Known as the goat sucker, farmers would wake up in the mornings and find all their chickens killed with like kind of like vampire incisions and all the blood sucked out of them. Coolness factor of the Chupacabra is kind of mid. Like the name is iconic, but as far as like its silhouette or whatever, like it doesn't have an iconic image or anything like that.
It's usually some sort of coyote-esque and most likely a canine. It can be portrayed as like an alien or a scaly lizard, but that's usually, you're on the far side at that point. So
believability, I believe that those chickens died. I would never minimize the chicken experience, but I also believe that farmers are historically a superstitious lot, and they have to be, especially before like they understood meteorological data. They had to be like, it rained on the third Tuesday of whatever, so maybe on the next third Tuesday of the year it'll rain again. Like you have to have a superstitious nature about you when you're relying on the weather in that way. And I think they may have hyped themselves up with like the blood being drained out thing. If those chickens got a real autopsy,
there may be a
it
bit
might
more
not.
of an
It might not appear how it seems.
Because what I was going to say is if that actually happened, like there was something about, again, with animals being incredibly sick, a coyote or something may have been like so absolutely desperate for food that it seeked out the easiest possible like thing it could find. I don't think it's biologically capable of just sucking the blood and not eating it, subsisting off of that.
So I believe the believability is actually a little higher than Bigfoot and Nessie. I think it's unlikely that there's some sort of like species that lives in close enough proximity to humans to harm their cattle. Like in that we haven't heard about it. Maybe there's something there. Like maybe. I would suggest putting the Chupacabra C for Chupacabra.
Yeah, and you know what?
Mid.
I agree. I think it does have a bit of a cool factor, like, you know, some sort of terrifying, like, intimidating canine. I don't think there's any evidence for it being its own individual species. It would have had to have been some sort of animal. Could we take it in a fight? I mean, could you wrestle like a rabid dog? People die to dogs all
farmers
the time.
Farmers usually have some sort of
I was gonna say
22 or something,
farmer,
so he's smoked.
Pop
I
that
think.
sucker.
Yeah.
The violent, the hyper-aggression. Maybe not. If you're prepared enough, strong enough, you know, you can probably do it. Like I said with the capuchin monkey, I don't want to kill it. I'm not trying to say I'd love to kill it.
But the parasite's in me.
But if a dog attacked me, I'll hit him with the wild driver.
If I had a 2x4 on me, boy,
I'd drop kick that sucker. So C for suck.
Chupacabra.
So, you want my mixtape? Does this answer your question?
All right.
What is what? Or is it below us?
What the fuck is that? Ah!
I absolutely love this. I wouldn't say it's necessarily as iconic as maybe a Bigfoot or a Nessie, but that's only in mainstream circles. This is probably the cryptid that I think of first, just because within the space, it's probably the most recognizable. It comes from West Virginia. There's a whole festival every year. They have a Mothman festival. So straight away, coolness factor. If you don't look at the statue that I think is in West Virginia, the silver one, where it just looks like a humanoid thing, it looks like a Power Rangers villain. No, the ones where the head is like kind of shrunken down, the big red eyes. That's freaky. I think that's got a great cool factor. Believability? Absolutely not. I don't know if we should have said this at the beginning or not, but this is the biggest caveat or biggest hand wave you have to do with cryptids. Not just being a hater. There are more trail cams now than there have ever been. Just ever. There's cameras everywhere. So the fact that we still haven't found any of these just automatically disproves a huge majority of them. Someone would have seen something by now. They cannot intentionally avoid a camera. As cool as it is, I can't see it. And could I beat it in a fight? He'll probably rapture me. Like, I cannot imagine. How are you going to pin him to the ground? I'm gone.
Low believability, incredibly high coolness or scariness factor for me. Like, definitely would haunt my nightmares.
Oh, it's horrifying.
Could I beat him in a fight? Again, how do you beat, like, an apparition, like a spirit? It's like a demon to me. The other ones I've kind of approached from, like, a biological, ecological perspective. This one, I have to wonder, like, that's real. That's on Earth.
Yeah.
That is a demon.
I cannot imagine what this could have been misconstrued as unless it was like a rather large predatory bird, the bigger species, or even an owl.
These details definitely describe a type of owl. The eye shine which produce those seemingly glowing eyes is extremely common in owls.
It's at night, there's a big bird, you're a little off the Benjamin, you can start seeing anything.
What else is there to do in West Virginia? Yeah. Drink yourself silly and walk the streets. So I think personally this is an A. Not quite an S just because it doesn't have that mainstream appeal. Not that that's necessarily a factor, but I feel like it's great as a concept. I don't know, no basis in reality, but very cool.
I would agree with A.
A for Mothman. Cool.
Holds in at the high point. Hughes scores! Jack Hughes!
He's freaky. He's a freak. He's a certified freak. Can somebody match his freak? Is his MO. Straight up cool factor. I say yes, but also this is the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my life. We will say that multiple times, or at least I will. Who came up with this? It's a goat and a horse and a bat and the devil. It looks ridiculous. You can make it look crazy with drawings, but there's this great picture. I'm going to have to put this in after. It's literally just the horrible Photoshop job of a goat in the air with wings, and they made it look blurry, and it just looks so stiff. It's so funny. It just flies around New Jersey. That allegedly has ties to the devil, or it is the devil. Like, you hear multiple different things.
Coolness factor is personally, like, mid to low for me, just because of how goofy it looks. Believability is also, like, before we were preparing for this video, I would have said believability was possibly as low as it can get for me. But you did show me a picture of a certain bat that you can put up here. that after I saw that, I
it's
go...
the hammerhead bat. It doesn't necessarily look like the Jersey Devil, but flying around, you could see how it was misconstrued. They're native to Africa, so that might be another case of, especially because this is from New Jersey, man, that dude's really tearing that lawn up. He's got the grass cutter 9000.
Yeah.
A man who can't keep up a lawn is either inept or stupid.
I think this is another example, potentially, of exotic pets being let loose, or zoos or something. Real life equivalent, maybe.
Yeah, so that boosted the believability like the teensiest bit for me. But the believability of the legend has something to do with like a mother who like had a bunch of kids, like maybe 11 kids or something, and then like the 12th one was the Jersey Devil.
Yeah.
And because she was cursed or something. And so like that did not come out of a human.
No. Well, have you seen that one album cover? Born Goated or something, and it's like a goat giving birth in a gurney, and the rapper's coming out with the money spread? I love that. Or the guy who's like half man, half goat. Like,
no, I haven't seen
maybe. That. Very cool. Definitely not believable. Could you beat it in a fight? Again, this is the same thing with the Mothman. How would you get a hold of this thing? It's supposed to be some sort of paranormal apparition. Like, what? I could beat up a goat. I feel like I could grab it around the neck, but like, I got to keep saying it. I don't want to kill animals. But like, if it's the small goat, maybe. But if it's the larger, it wildly varies.
The Chupacabra can be taken down by a 22. If you have buckshot and you can like punch holes through this little guy's wings and get him on the ground, I think he's
ruin
toast.
his aerodynamics.
So in a simulation, eagles can really hurt you. Like they can definitely kill you if they're provoked. But also, it's not that hard to break an eagle's wings. I'm not saying it's not hard to kill an eagle.
I think at this point we don't have to keep prefacing it, but it just sounds horrible.
Yeah.
If you just break the eagle's
at this
wings,
point,
just choke it to death.
We might need a lower third at this point. In a simulation, this is maybe 50-50 or maybe even 60-40 leaning my direction. Because if this was like the Connecticut Devil, maybe if he went to college, you know, he did like Tai Chi or something, and he was like a little more sophisticated. But in Jersey, no, I know he only knows street fight. He's not sober.
I was going to say, you can't overlook the mob connections either. Like Tony Soprano, he's employed this fool.
I want you to be my eyes in the sky.
But I'm thinking it's about Chupacabra level. Maybe even lower.
For me, it's a D.
I can do that. D for Dookie.
Yeah.
Straight Dookie. Okay. This is interesting, to me at least. There's some indigenous like history with something that could be the Thunderbird. Something like that, just like a great eagle spirit, some sort of large bird. I think cool factor, basically non-existent. It's very neutral for me because this picture right here, I know this is a hoax. This is just like made out of feathers or whatever. But like a large predatory bird definitely has basis in reality. I mean, there's some gigantic hawks, eagles. The believability, I could see how this could have existed maybe not 200 years ago. And could I beat it in a fight? I mean, it all depends on what kind of fight we're talking about. Because if it's a bare bones hand fight, I could not kill half these. But if we have some sort of weapon, like maybe. Take out a giant bird. Because like you said, eagles, they f you up.
He's too majestic. I think he would respect my vibes. I think he would look into my soul and there would be a moment of brotherhood there. But
what would he see within you?
I think believability for me with sort of older cultures, I think a lot of what's in their art and their paintings and their stories, like some of it reflects what they observe in nature. So I could kind of maybe see where they're coming from. And then some of it is just like very imaginative, like the world being a turtle. I also know that obviously there was a lot of diverse species before Europeans colonized the Americas, like the buffalo. Like they're obviously not extinct, but that was like a very large animal. Now they're very close to extinct, I believe. And so maybe there is some sort of bird that just like colonists were like, ew, gross.
I was going to say, because that's another indigenous connection. Because the reason the buffalo population is so low is because in the 1800s we were trying to eradicate the indigenous population. I shouldn't say we, but the colonizers were.
Yeah, don't let me in,
the
brother.
colonizers were trying to eradicate the indigenous population, so they were starting with their food source and their fuel source and their clothing source, the hide, the fat, the meat. And so there's a picture of just a mountain of bones, and it's so harrowing to look at because when you realize like that what their goal was, it's horrifying. So I could maybe be convinced of that connection of they killed something that had some sort of importance to indigenous culture. Or just something adjacent like that, but
believability for me is kind of mid. Coolness factor, it's not cool in a cryptid way. It's kind of cool, like talking about it in like the historical and cultural context around what might have been is a little interesting, but like it's not cool. It's not swag, I guess.
It's not epic swag. That's what I was thinking that exact same.
It's not epic bacon, dude.
No, it's literally not. Like, I don't look at this and say, this is so heckin' birdo, you know?
Could I beat it in a fight? Again, I'm having a hard time even picturing what that fight would be like. So I'm just going to stray towards no.
Yeah.
For me, Thunderbird is kind of around C and D tier.
I think C is good because it's not really a monster.
It's kind of an interesting cryptid. Like, it doesn't slot so easily into the cryptid classification.
It's less of a monster, more of a megafauna.
Beautiful.
All right, you want to introduce this one? This is like
so
your
this
go.
one is one that I thought wasn't niche, but I guess it's more niche, but I don't want to get flamed on the internet, I suppose. MOKELE MBEMBE is an African cryptid from the Congo. It's a brachiosaurus. Let's just be real. The image is literally a brachiosaurus.
It's a small bean brachiosaurus. They literally just
small
content aware scale.
Small boy.
Shrunk it down.
Yeah, so it's very interesting that the cultural depictions of it are literally just our best scientific reconstructions of dinosaurs that did actually exist.
Yeah.
That puts the believability, again, referring to the caveat from earlier, I don't believe in any of these.
Yeah.
But as far as suspending our disbelief, the believability is there for me, like kind of high. Like in the dense Congo rainforest, the idea of a small line of evolutionary changed dinosaurs, it makes sense to me, I guess, because like our best scientific theories about why dinosaurs went extinct really revolve around like, oh, like the meteor killed a lot of the vegetation, food became less scarce. So if there was a line of sauropods that were smaller, they were better adapted to survive. They needed less food. So that makes sense to me. Coolness, I think it's majestic. Maybe.
Yeah, I will agree that it's got like a neutral cool factor, just like maybe the fact that it existed, not necessarily intimidation or like something. Believability, I would say yes. Like maybe it was just like what's the Mr. Kipling? What is that? You know what I'm talking about? That lizard.
Those are Mr. Kipling's eggs? Mr. Kipling is a Mrs. Kipling? And I've been walking around in my tighty whities in front of a girl.
Something like that, maybe. I don't know. And then could I beat it in a fight? Just one quick bite.
Water
they
monitor.
poison you.
That's what it is.
You put this because this is
MOKELE
yours.
MBEMBE, I think.
I'm thinking D, but I don't want to sway your.
Yeah, this is another one that's like, I personally like it, but I must set that aside.
Because it's just like a whatever, you know.
Yeah.
This may be potentially more iconic than Bigfoot, but maybe it hasn't had the staying power of a Bigfoot because I feel like, what is that movie? It had that remake with Qui-Gon Jinn. You know, they say release the Kraken. I feel like that's such an iconic line. Clash of the Titans, that's what it is.
Release the Kraken!
I think this may be more of like a olden times cryptid. Like this was their Bigfoot. Sea monsters in general, when we were in that age of exploring with wooden ships, like back then they knew nothing. So it wasn't out of the realm of possibilities to be attacked by a giant octopus. I think it has a coolness factor, but in a way that's like, I'm afraid of the ocean. I'm horribly afraid of the deep sea. Like, to my core, it shakes me. So I should say I can't beat it in a fight. There's just no way. Same thing with Loch Ness Monster. Absolutely no chance. Believability, I would say yes. Maybe not that a Kraken exists, but we still have never seen a physical colossal squid. We have seen dead ones, so we know that they exist. We just haven't seen them living. So it's not too far out of the realm of possibilities to think that there's some sort of giant octopus / squid.
Yeah, Kraken is possibly the coolest in my eyes. Believability also might be the highest because this is just a giant squid. They didn't know about it at the time. Even now, we have so little footage of giant squids, but we do know things about them. Not only were we new to the oceans in the 16 whenevers and we were sailing around a lot, but the creatures in the ocean were new to humans being in the ocean.
Yeah.
So I think the scene depicted here probably happened once.
I was going to say,
like at least once.
Yeah.
Also, can you beat it in a fight? Brother, I've beaten it in a fight many times in Sea of Thieves. I have.
That's boss music.
Oh! No, but genuinely, that kind of goes towards the coolness factor, because whenever I'd play Sea of Thieves and I'd play solo, until I learned how easy it is to actually kill the Kraken in the game, you're literally just sailing, and then there's an audio cue of like, and the water around you turns black and like ink, and then the arms come up. I would literally just leave the game.
That's
like
scary.
it's so terrifying. I would just leave the game.
If you've ever played Subnautica, horrifying.
Yeah, for me, Kraken is S tier.
Yeah,
I
would agree.
gotta be
I'd
for
agree.
real.
All right, keeping the water theme.
Wish I could be part of that world.
It's just the picture that's taking me out. Mermaids. So you might be like, well, why is a mermaid a cryptid? You're thinking of like Ariel. This is more of a fantastical depiction of a mermaid that's less beautiful human and more freaky siren, scaly monster. Of a coolness factor for going off that, I think that's very cool. Believability, I personally don't think so. The picture we have right here, this is Hugh Jackman's creation, good old P.T. Barnum. He took I believe it was a capuchin monkey and a large fish. He sewed them together for a freak show exhibit. Bring the whole family out. It doesn't have any basis in reality. No, oh my God, he's getting loud. No believability. Nope. Does have a coolness factor. Could I beat it in a fight? If it's the P.T. Barnum one, you just grab him by the neck and just pull him out of water. But if it's the deep sea siren thing, maybe. Get like a knife.
Yeah.
Just go.
Mermaid wouldn't want to run into my in the water, let me tell you what. But anyway.
That's the one angle we didn't consider. Could we beat in a fight? Could we de-escalate the situation for romantic?
Yeah, could we make sweet love to it?
That's probably the only one that I would give you the pass for doing this with.
So I think believability, I think sailors were prepped to believe about mermaids. Like sirens have been around since like ancient Greek time.
Yeah.
But I believe those are just like inventions. Obviously, like when you read books and you watch movies, like not every fantastical creature was based off of an encounter or like someone's experience. Like,
yeah, like,
some people can genuinely just imagine creatures.
Yeah.
And so I think people like Homer writing the Odyssey, including sirens. That might be wrong, by the way. I think that's
I would not know. I swear to God, I thought you were talking about The Simpsons for a second.
No, this Homer was an ancient Greek, but maybe he was bald just like Homer Simpson.
And then later, like sailors, after the idea of a siren or a mermaid has kind of penetrated the zeitgeist, it's like sailors, they see something and they're like,
okay,
that's
that is.
a mermaid.
Yeah.
Sailors are another superstitious bunch
Bunch of sweaty dudes,
Yeah.
sunbaked. Brother, that seal starts looking mighty nice.
Yeah. So believability, low. Coolness, not very cool to
I think
me.
it's depending on the depiction.
Yeah, P.T. Barnum's little guy, not very cool to
so
me, not swag to me.
Are you the frogman?
This comes from the great state of Ohio.
Only in Ohio.
Only in Ohio do we have bipedal frogmen. It really is the greatest place on earth. So, right off the bat, coolness factor. If there are numbers below negative, I would like to use that. This is the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my life, which is literally just a frog standing on its hind legs. It doesn't look like a different creature, but I've seen ones that are a bit more reptilian.
The water man from like The Shape of Water is kind of frogman-ish. Like it's more of a serious take on what this could be.
Yeah, this is a joke.
But in my heart of hearts, I know that this is what the Loveland frog looks like.
This is what she was getting freaky with. This is just stupid. There's nothing really like intimidating about it. There's no like, it'll take your kids in the middle of the night. It's just a giant frog. Ridiculous. I mean, I'm sure the Ohioans, they're rooting for this. This is their hometown hero. I'm sorry. That's lame. I love a frog. Frogs are great.
What does he know about kidnapping babies? Nothing.
So coolness factor, absolutely not. Believability, who are we kidding here? Even the largest toads in the world are nowhere near bipedal levels. Like, could I beat in a fight? If I kicked him between the legs, he's done.
The fact that it is just a normal frog, but with bipedal legs, like the bipedal legs don't synergize with its other evolutionary adaptations to make sense. Yeah, he has no hops.
Yeah.
Probably not webbed feet, so he can't swim.
No money, no bitches, no hops. Like, this dude sucks.
Yeah, so I think it's very unlikely that Mother Nature would allow such an abomination to occur.
But I'm going F, but I'm so tempted to put a higher just because of how ridiculous it is.
I think he deserves E because he has deep ironic value.
Yeah. There's a guy, he's been cutting grass for probably 45 minutes, and he keeps coming back to the exact same
Big
spot.
yards out here. Big yards.
Smoking big yards.
Yeah, smoking big yards out in Mennonite.
Going off of what I know about this, I think it definitely has a coolness factor just because it's kind of freaky, and it's not really like any other cryptid because pretty much everything we've covered so far has some sort of animal base. This is just a straight up like monster. It looks like a nun. Believability, absolutely not. There's no base for this. Like, I'm sure someone just thought they saw something in the woods. Could I beat this in a fight? This is the same thing with the Jersey Devil and the Mothman. This is like a demon. How do you attack this thing?
Does it even have a corporeal form?
Yeah, is that my name? Oh, Gary Barker. I was like, what?
Oh, that's funny.
It was created by somebody who wrote about UFOs, so yeah.
Incredibly low believability. People are pretty sure it was a trick of perspective to where, like, the glowing light was something in the night sky, like a star, like a meteor.
Yeah.
And then the way it was kind of lined up with a barn, like the silhouette of a barn, it looked like a big figure.
I could see that.
Who? Were you now?
I think this is just, you know, a little bit of moonshining and stumbling home past the barn at night.
I love how the West Virginia connection is just getting drunk and being like, what the hell is that? What did I just see?
Yeah, I've seen cryptids. One time I was very sleep deprived and I was driving at night and I saw a fisher. I had never seen a fisher before, and literally I thought it was like a grim. I thought I was gonna die. I was just not prepared to see it.
I think it's just like a D.
I think it nests pretty well with the Jersey Devil and MOKELE MBEMBE, to where it's like, that didn't happen, but like it's a cool story, and you don't really give it much serious thought.
Gee, man, and he just sleeked off to the right there. Son of a bitch, he's big.
Now, cool factor is already through the roof. It's like disproportionate. There's no symmetry, again, from West Virginia. It's just a thing, and I'm pretty sure that this is just something some drunk guy thought he saw with some rock face or something. What could this be based on? So absolutely no believability. Could I beat it in a fight? Absolutely not. You are getting crushed with that hand immediately.
Yeah, I think believability, again, it's easier to explain away. Coolness is higher. Fight, I'm just imagining it has a skill set of an iron golem. He would go, Hulk.
Yeah.
And I'm toast. It's kind of like the, what are they called from Breath of the Wild? The taluses.
Yep, it's exactly like. What if it was made out of like discarded meatpacking remnants? So I think I'm just going to put it in D. It's stupid. It's not Frogman levels. It's unique.
It's not ironic.
No, it's like
E is where we get into levels of irony.
Yeah. This next one.
Open the door. Open the door.
This one's kind of interesting, just like the way it looks.
Also known as the Mount Vernon Monster. I thought that was George Washington. Thanks, folks. Happy Pride Month.
It's supposed to have 3 legs that jut off, that kind of like one this way, and then one in the back. It kind of looks like something someone made up for their sci-fi movie. So cool factor, I think it's just non-existent.
I feel like I'm noticing a trend of like the less specific interpretations are, the less believable it is. Bigfoot, the different iterations look very similar. The Loch Ness Monster, the different iterations, very similar. Like the reason it looks so weird is because you didn't see that. Kind of looks like the spider monkey from Spy Kid 2.
You know, now that you say that, half of these just look like something Steve Buscemi created. Like, it's just something he's like, God, please kill me.
From an evolutionary standpoint, I can't think of a single creature that has 3 legs. Our gene pool has established that 2 legs, 4 legs, and like 1,000 legs. That's a good amount of legs to have. It has to be divisible by 2. I'm sorry. 3 legs, you're out, buddy.
Yeah. Could I beat it in a fight? He just kicked this thing in between the legs. Like, he looks like a little stupid freak.
I guess he has sharp teeth, kind of maybe claws, but like in a fight, look over there, I've got your back leg.
Yeah.
He doesn't have 3 legs in a good way.
No.
You know what I'm saying?
I'm just gonna put an F because, like, who cares? I don't know. Maybe E. You know, I'll put an E because the legs are weird. I guess that's unique. This next one, I only included because of the name.
This guy. It's the Goat Man of Popelik. Doesn't sound scary. Look at that. That's pretty scary.
It resides around a dilapidated bridge. It is a goat man, and it carries a hatchet. This is just a guy. Nothing against houseless people, but I guarantee you there was probably just sort of some freaky guy down on his luck underneath a bridge, had a hatchet. Maybe he was very hairy, and someone was like, that's a goat man, and he's going to kill me. Listen, I think you need better low-income housing in your area. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of a story I heard as a kid that scared me of, like, there was a 12-year-old girl who was left home alone while her parents went on vacation. First of all, why?
Yeah.
Her parents said, like, oh, if you get scared at night, just pet the dog and he'll make you feel better. And so one night the power goes out and it's completely dark. And so she goes over to find the dog, and the dog is like licking her hand. And then in the morning, not to be too graphic, she finds that the dog is dead. And then written in blood in the mirror is people can lick too. So this is kind of...
What?
So that one really got me as a kid, but now I'm thinking the Popelik monster. Bro, maybe he has penetrated pop culture more than we think.
Yeah. There was one of those, you know those books? Is it Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark?
Oh yeah.
With the freaky covers. There's one of I think it was a more kid-friendly version, but it was yeah, so this guy's part man, part goat. I think it was just a freak somebody saw. Like, there's no way. Like,
oh, so Pope Lick's the town.
Yeah.
That
Oh,
makes
I
sense.
should have said that.
Because when I hear Pope Lick monster, I'm thinking that's just the Pope.
That's what I was expecting.
The Pope
I
is a
thought
lick
this was a
monster.
freaky, yeah.
Or, I mean, at least other Catholic priests are lick monsters.
It looks cool if somebody made a good movie, and maybe this could be intimidating, but it's really just
Mhm.
kind of stupid. Believability, no. And then could I beat it in a fight? I guess if you had a gun, or if you were fast enough to get the hatchet away, because this is
Mhm.
just like...
This is like, could you
survive
beat
a horror
person
movie?
in a fight? He doesn't...
Even if it has the animal strength, it's still like
Yeah.
human size.
Yeah.
It's not like being part goat makes you inherently stronger unless it's really good at headbutting.
Mhm.
I don't know. Maybe the head is crazy. It seems to love
Depends
the lick.
on your training, bro.
I'm just
Depends
gonna-
on prep time.
I'll put it in D maybe
Yeah.
because it's intimidating. Oh yeah, with prep time we could kill all of these. It's just, can I drop a nuke in its
I know.
in its general
Yeah.
area? This next one, I love this. I've probably said this 3 times already, but this is the dumbest thing. Tommyknockers. Sounds like slang for big booba, but this is literally just leprechauns that live in a cave. These miners, resource miners, I
Yeah.
don't know,
Yeah.
thought they saw these weird little creatures, things were going missing, and like people were getting bitten or whatever, but it's literally just leprechauns. Coolness factor, are leprechauns cool? No.
I'm Irish.
Our believability, I'm sorry, I don't mean to
Yeah.
clown on your
Yeah.
people.
My people.
Believability, absolutely not.
I think there's probably, like, you're down in the mines.
There's probably a little person who was
there's
also
probably,
a miner, and they hated him. They were like, yeah, this guy's a freak.
I didn't consider that. That's probably true. I was thinking more of, like, there's probably nauseous fumes that are...
Oh my god, yeah, you're
that
down in
are
the mine,
pl-
you're inhaling coal.
Yeah, playing with your senses in an
Yeah.
interesting way. I'm guessing this was like kind of like 1800s America where people were bigoted against Irish people, my people. Never forget that struggle. Low believability, low coolness. Could I beat it in a fight? Bro.
Could you stomp on a leprechaun?
I could freaking make a field goal with this thing. I mean...
F.
Yeah,
It's
I could
so
flatten
stupid.
this guy with a mallet.
It's so stupid. This next one is just as dumb.
You still feeling the effects of the PUKWUDGiE curse? No, stop it.
It's so stupid. It's literally just a troll. This is just a bridge troll. This
Kind
is
of
just
looks
a
like
freaky...
the bad guy from the Spiderwick Chronicles.
I was gonna say that. Yeah, are trolls cool? No.
But on the
Find
other
out.
hand, some trolls collect taxes.
Yeah.
As far as I know, the PUKWUDGiE, he is not a government
He's a class
shill.
trader. He's
Yeah.
a class trader.
That's
He's
tough.
a landlord. Boo. F. Could I beat him in a fight? Could you shoot your landlord? Could you kill your landlord? I could.
I could.
I would.
I will.
I'm not even gonna get into the history of this
What's
one.
with the 3 legs?
I have no idea, but this is
Hey,
literally...
yo, why they call him that?
You hear that? This is just some drunk dude walking the streets at night, sees a woman in a white dress, and he's like, holy f***, she's gonna kill me.
If she's in a dress, at the time, I'm guessing it wasn't like a super high waist. How do you know she has 3 legs? If the...
I saw something that said it may have been somebody with like a extreme birth defect. As we get to the end here, they just become more and more ridiculous, but no, not really cool. Believable, absolutely not. And could you beat in a fight?
Yeah.
Could you beat up a 12-year-old girl?
And I feel also like the art, like when you hear, oh, it's a girl in a dress, like we've been trained to think of like creepy, like long flowing dress that kind of
Mhm.
looks ghostish, or like a hospital gown, like she just escaped. If you think about, like, this could just be a person with like a half developed 3rd limb because of a birth defect.
Mhm.
She could have just been wearing a normal dress.
Yeah.
And she could have been out at
Minding
night.
her business.
She could have been out at night because she gets harassed when she goes out in the day.
That's exactly
And-
that's exactly what the explanation was. I'm gonna put it in F, not because I think it's as stupid.
Because she
as-
deserves better.
Yeah, because it was probably just a regular person minding their business.
She doesn't deserve to be a cryptid.
What is the earliest age that a baby can learn how to swim?
This isn't even a cryptid. I'm pretty sure this is just some story somebody told. Maybe somebody had an unfortunate case of I don't want to be pregnant anymore and threw a baby and okay,
Mhm.
now we got a baby floating in the water.
It's terminal.
I don't know. What's up with Nevada? They live at the bottom of a pyramid lake and they harass people. I guess get freaky on the beat. I don't know. It's just stupid. Like, it's just a bunch of babies. Is it cool? No. Is it believable? Maybe someone threw a fetus in there once. I don't know. That
Yeah.
sounds horrible, but maybe that happened. And could you beat it in a fight? This is the worst
Could
one
you-
I've had to say. Could you? An infant.
It's
Like those-
infinitely harder to keep a baby alive than it is to kill it.
I was
So-
gonna say, you've seen those videos where it's like world record man crushes watermelons with head. You know, how many can he crush in a row? And they just It's just that.
Not that I want that to happen, of course.
But F, stupid.
Yeah.
All right, now this next one is probably the scariest one that's on this list, and I'm not exaggerating. White women. Or, excuse me, a white lady. The white lady.
The white lady.
Yeah, this is just a ghost. The three-legged ghost, it had that going for it. You know what? Just because, out of respect, I'm going to bump that up one.
Yeah,
I'm going to bump that up one. This is, it's literally just a ghost. There's nothing interesting about it. Have you ever heard a ghost story? Okay, are ghosts cool? Whatever. Believable? I don't know. I think the thing with ghosts is, I'm not saying this as a negative, but people who suffer from some sort of mental illness, people who have hallucinations, like something to do with drugs or just like seeing things at night, like, I don't know. That's just where, and could you beat it? Could you punch a Karen? But when you do,
it's hard not to sometimes.
Your hand goes right through. So F, just.
I mean, especially if she looks like that.
Yeah. Especially if she looks like
if she is that white woman.
Ask your local white woman what she's investing in and copy that pattern if you want to be a millionaire.
Yeah.
This one might be my favorite. This is PA native, hometown hero.
Man.
Probably the most pathetic piece of garbage that's on this list. Not because I think that, but that's just what it is.
This is the closest cryptid we have to Dobby IRL.
Literally.
I think.
If Dobby was a messed up sheep who just like, woe is me, why doesn't anybody love me?
Yeah.
He's just pathetic. It's just a weird, freaky pig sheep thing.
It looks like a My Singing Monster that was left on the cutting room floor.
It looks like it got hit by a truck and it didn't die. It literally just hides in the forests of Pennsylvania and cries because it's so ugly. That's exactly what it is, and that I find that hilarious. Okay, it has no coolness factor, but it has an ironic coolness because of it. You know, I feel that hometown pride, that homestay pride. Believability. Honestly, I think there may be some sort of real world explanation for some sort of crying sheep or maybe something bleeding.
So the thing that's interesting about the believability of the SQUONK is a lot of made up things are made up for some sort of like ethic,
achieve some goal,
to like achieve a goal. So a lot of the creatures that have like a menace, kids like don't run out at night because there's a creature that will kill you. But that's kind of how these legends start, to like encourage safe behavior, discourage unsafe.
That's actually a
behavior.
really good point that I did not think about. How many of these were just like concerned parents that are like, don't go in the woods or a giant ape will kill you. It's like, oh shit, I guess I'm not going in the woods.
And so the sad SQUONK does not really fit this
it's
criteria.
The exact opposite
like
of that.
why would someone make it up? There's no menace to it. There's no thing to be learned from it, which makes me think that someone genuinely did see a hairless little freak. And honestly, it could have been a hairless cat. It could have been a gerbil. So genuinely, I think the sad SQUONK is a little higher in believability. Taking it in a fight, though.
Oh my god, I could destroy this thing.
I mean, could you put a cantaloupe in a blender? I mean, you could think of many ways to kill this thing.
Could you run over already killed roadkill? Like, super easy. Can you cook ground beef?
And the thing about the sad SQUONK, he's asking for it.
Literally. That's what I was going to say.
He would let you.
The thing you were saying about parents telling kids these stories to get them to not do something. I want to find this. I'm morbidly curious. I want to go out and find a little, oh, look how freaking ugly that is. That's disgusting, and make it cry more.
Yeah.
Make an afternoon out of it.
Ironic value, hometown values, surprisingly high believability, and pity. I think I don't know about that. I was gonna say D. I'm also thinking we might need to reshuffle. As we've seen D evolve, I think Chupacabra and whatever that one was. The Thunderbird go to B.
Yep.
Jersey Devil and MOKELE and MBEMBE can go to C.
Yep.
And then now I feel like we fleshed it out a bit.
When I was talking to people about what I was doing, I had mentioned the sad SQUONK, and someone that I work with knew what I was talking about. And that made me so happy because I was like, it's transcendent.
So yeah, it has more street cred than some of these.
Yeah, that's another thing we probably didn't consider. The ones that are specific to a town or a city or whatever.
Yeah, for tourism.
Who created that? Because they were like, you want a chance to see that? Like with Nessie, that people go there because even though you're probably not going to see it, it's still cool. But like, I think people are definitely coming to PA to look for
the sad SQUONK.
The sad SQUONK.
She's got rock-like skin, the ability to shapeshift, and a spear-like finger. And she disguises herself as your grandma.
Now this one is interesting because this goes back to the Thunderbird. This has an indigenous connection. This is sort of a mystical, magical woman. It comes from Cherokee legend, said to live in eastern Tennessee. Yeah, she cuts up people she doesn't like with a mystical long finger. You know, she's great at gold digging. I don't know. I guess she's just supposed to be a mystical woman. So
yeah,
I don't know. Cool factor, maybe.
Cool factor.
If she's evil.
Yeah.
But if she's just, I got a messed up finger and I will heal you. Like, all right. Thanks, Grandma.
She's kind of giving Legend of Zelda 2 a little bit.
I could see that.
Shoot. Kakariko Village. Like, I feel
Yeah.
like she would be like an old crone. Believability for me. I know fingernails can grow really long.
Yeah.
If it was a woman for personal reasons, cultural reasons, spiritual reasons, let her fingernail on her pointer finger grow really long.
Mhm.
And maybe if she was like the leader of a village, because I know like Native American cultures were a little less patriarchal, and so like I believe some women held leadership.
I was
at
gonna
times.
say I could see that.
Like if she was a ruthless leader in whatever conflict she had with other tribes, I can see how this legend about, oh, this like evil witch with a spear for a finger. So like I think all those coincidences lined up are unlikely, but it's like this is one to where I was like, there's probably a more logical explanation than it existing. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Like she's so humanoid that I'm like, I feel like this is a caricature of a person who is hated more than it is like an actual monster.
I could see how maybe this is like a legend passed on by like a rivaling tribe or some other nation. Could you beat it in a fight? If it's just a real woman, I mean, could you beat a grandma to death?
And she looks advanced in age. As long as I can get on the inside of her spear, I'm set.
Yeah.
Like I know she's got more range than maybe my wingspan can allow. As long as I can get into the inside.
I mean, how much length is it really going to add? Like maybe
Stomach
that
shot.
much.
Stomach shot.
Yeah. Could you beat your grandmother?
I
to
can
death?
bob and weave under the spear. Yeah. I think with some good form, you can take her out.
If we're talking magic, like she has some sort of spiritual power she can conjure up, maybe. So I don't know. I don't want to put it in D. It's too oversaturated, but I don't think it's stupid. It's just kind of like a whatever. Like this doesn't seem like a cryptid. This just seems like a monster.
I think I don't anticipate any more entries in D, so I think we can put this one in D.
All right. Next. Continuing the trend of just real people. This is ENFiELD Cold. This is just a guy. This is just some freaky dude from like the East Coast. Somebody thought he saw once. Maybe he doesn't age. Maybe he has like a weird teleportation thing going on. Like it doesn't necessarily have a cool factor, but I could see maybe in the right story or context, this could be scary.
Who is this?
My name is ENFiELD Cold.
Where's my watch?
In your shoe. Under the bed.
Believability. I believe people exist. I mean, I think humans are real.
I believe people have smiled.
I believe
before.
I was gonna say I think there have been freaky dudes who like to smile and kill people. Could you beat it in a fight? I mean, put me and Ted Bundy in a room. People have gotten away from him before. It entirely depends on the context and how we're feeling, but I feel like I could stand a chance. This does not give cryptid. This is some sort of analog horror thing.
This transcends cryptidism. This person
This
existed.
probably just was a guy.
Coolness factor. Dudes rock.
I was gonna say,
personally,
guys are sick.
Yeah, guys being boys.
Just guys
swag,
being dudes.
dude.
Just go out in the woods, freak everybody out because you have a weird penetrating like stare. I'm feeling E just because it's like a whatever. This is just a guy. Now, this last one, I don't know if you want to go ahead and introduce this one. This
Okay.
one's very interesting to me.
So this next one, I'm not gonna claim that it's from Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
I believe it might originate in Wyoming, but it has been sighted in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
Goes by many names. The SiDEHiLL Dodger, the SiDEHiLL Hoofer, the SiDEHiLL Gaznik, the SiDEHiLL, I'm not sure, SiDEHiLL Loper, SiDEHiLL Galoot, the Giat Scootus, the Sidewinder, the Wampus, the Boofum, the Gudapro, the Hunkus, the Rickaboo Racker, the Proc, the Gwinter, the Cuttercuss.
They're not even at that point. They're not even the same thing. I was reading
Yeah.
this one right here. A Vermont variation known as the Wampa Hoofus.
The Wampa Hoofus. Don't laugh. Don't laugh.
I'm sorry.
I know it as the SiDEHiLL Moochie. You know it as the SiDEHiLL Moody Gotcher.
Yep.
We're talking, of course, about the SiDEHiLL Gouger. This is a creature beyond definition, really.
I mean, how do you even describe it?
It's adapted to live on hillsides, meaning, for example, the legs on its left side
It's
are
lopsided. It's got
like
legs longer on one
5
side.
times shorter than the leg on its right side.
Yep.
So little's known about the SiDEHiLL Gouger. The Wikipedia entry is less than a page. I think the believability, the fact that it's so penetrated into so many different cultures, but they all agree on the lopsidedness of it.
Yeah.
Is kind of interesting to me. I just look into its eyes and there's something in my heart of hearts that tells me this thing exists, frankly.
Can I be completely honest?
Yeah.
I don't want to sound stupid because I know we've talked about all the ridiculous things on this list, but I am inclined to agree. Unironically, I believe in this.
I think it is a force of nature. I think it's badass, actually, that it happens to be born with the legs with the exact slope on the hill it's born.
It's locked
That's
in.
a cosmic coincidence.
It knows what it is.
He's locked the freak in. Could I beat it in a fight? No. Yeah.
I think I would be so terrified if I tried to attack it. Because there's no way it would come and attack you. It has too much integrity. You would have to go after it.
Yeah.
So I think as I'm climbing up the hill, it would just intimidate me so much I'd probably fall to my death.
The coolness factor. Yeah, I mean...
It's cool as hell.
Would you describe a pit with no bottom as cool?
Right.
Would you describe a tsunami cresting the horizon as cool?
Yeah.
These are things that are so threatening to mortality. They just make you believe that you're but a blip.
Yeah.
In the fabric of the cosmos. I don't know if I can describe it as cool. Scary, definitely, just in how quick he can snuff out your flame.
Underprepared, you don't have a chance, and even prepared, it's a close call. Like,
yeah.
How many mountain climbers have they found half in the mountain, like decomposing?
That's true. I think Batman with prep time. I don't know if he could.
It's close.
He's almost beyond the tier system.
I was gonna say, how do you rank this?
I don't know. I have to give him an S or an F. Frankly,
in every factor, like if you're gonna rank it, you gotta pick a side, and I think it's gonna be S. I think it's gonna be S.
I mean, Bigfoot, Kraken, they can't hold a candle, but there's no other place to put him on this list.
I was gonna say, should we just make another tier that's just above everything else?
Yeah.
I mean, is that unfair?
The thing about the SiDEHiLL Gouger is there's so little about it. Even like cryptids have like all these stories that we've been dissecting, but the Gouger almost has nothing, which makes me think that it is real because it's been seen clearly. Like there's imagery that spans all these different states and all these different names.
Yeah.
But there's no like over the top legends about it that make me think, oh, this was just a construct of someone's mind. So I just wish that like someone could get a photograph or like collect evidence about it.
I don't know, maybe we should cut this, but
yeah.
I don't know how it is where you live, but sometimes I sleep with the window open, and the things that I hear at night, it's like, I don't know.
I mean, we live in Appalachia, and
it actually terrifies me. Maybe that's embarrassing to admit. Like, I'm not scared. I'm not embarrassed to say that I'm scared of the ocean, but there's something about this that I feel almost guilty over my fear. Like, I'm terrified.
And I think it's the not knowing because I don't know if it's out there, and I don't know if his intent is good or ill.
Yeah.
Like, so I wish we could just figure out like where he is, like what he's up to, if he exists. Like, if we could just learn about their habits and like where they live, their food, things like this, like I think I'd be able to sleep at night again.
Can I be completely honest? We saw all the other names and like the different maybe regional variations that potentially exist. The simple fact that we both know it as a name that's not on this list leads me to believe that we might be living in an uncharted territory in terms of
that's a good point.
Sightings. Like, we could be the first to find this. Maybe that's too forward of me, but we could go after this.
I think no one has put as much thought into cryptids, their biology, their behaviors as us.
Oh, 100%.
I think we're almost doing society a disservice if we don't do what we can to gather information.
I have the equipment here, like this. I mean, the sun's kind of going down, but my camera has a night vision mode. Like, I've got snacks, I've got food. We could be gone for a couple of days.
Yeah, we could never come back.
I think it's worth it. I think we should go right now.
Let's go.
Okay.